AFC West, Chargers and the Broncos. Jim Harbaugh getting his guy ready. Broncos, meanwhile, looking to clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2015. And Bart, it looked earlier that they're going to do it. They're up 14-10, and Bo Nix is busy.
Bo Nix was in his bag in the first half, 15 for 21 for 155, 2 tutties.
Broncos lead at 21-10, and it looks like it's going to stay that way into the half. And then a bunch of crazy things happen, and much of it manufactured by Jim Harbaugh. Called a timeout with 8 seconds left, forced them to punt. Now we've got fair catch interference. Now we have an untimed down after the 15 yards are ticked on, and that brings up the fair catch kick, a little-known codicil in the Faber College Constitution, a little-known rule. Some people get it. The Chargers with an untimed down, Cameron Dicker from 57 yards, and they steal 3 points. It's the first player since Ray Wersching in 1976 to make a fair catch kick, and the Chargers get the momentum, and they really ride that into the second half.
Absolutely. You see Justin Herbert in his back finding Darius Davis in the back of the end zone, and it was all downhill from here, Green.
Chargers get a great throw by Herbert, and then they're going to go for the 2, and look at the concentration on the 2-point conversion.
Oh, man, Jesse Palmer, every week is somebody making a great catch. The concentration also to get the feet down, stay in bounds, and not bobble it on the ground. Outstanding work.
That had to be Josh Palmer.
Joshua Palmer, outstanding catch. Chargers take the lead. Now, 4 minutes to go. This is with a bad ankle. Look at Herbert on a 3rd and 10, converting with his legs in a gain of 16. Move the chains. Very next play. Here comes Gus. Look at the moves.
I tell you what, Gus has been a revelation with no J.K. Dobbins for her to close the game.
43 yards on the carry. He would score 2 touchdowns on the night. 2 plays later, 2nd and 13. How about the shovel pass from Herbert? Creativity, Hassan Haskins. They're not gonna get him. Herbert goes 284, 2 touchdowns, and the Chargers come from behind and get the win by a touchdown. Harbaugh afterwards fired up.
How about the Chargers? Go! Hold it down. We will see you Monday. Who could possibly have it better than I?
Come on. I mean, what can you say? That's
his enthusiasm. It's amazing that he can take a college concept, who's got it better than us, nobody, and the whole team just buys in. They have embodied who Harbaugh is as a coach, and he's one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, and Grady, you mentioned it in the highlights, but when you strip it away, he's also a football genius. He calls timeout with 8 seconds to go. Most coaches probably don't do that.
Forcing a punt.
Yeah, and next thing you know, you have 3 points. And when these games are so close, those little things matter. So, I mean, I know he's quirky and all that. He's a great football coach and a great tactician.
I don't even think it's little. That team went into halftime fired up because they had just pulled off something that probably most of them didn't even know about.
Right.
Including Harbaugh. It looked like he didn't know the rule either.
Like people need to realize, like the field goal was 57 yards because they don't have to snap it. It's a free kick. Otherwise, it's 65 yards and you probably don't try it. So the whole entire sequence was unbelievable. They have to punt because he calls a timeout. They get the kick-catch interference.
And it's untimed down because it ended on a penalty.
But for people who don't know, you call a fair catch, you have the right to kick it from the spot. Not snap it back 8 yards, but kick it from the spot. And because they have the 15-yard
penalty, and they can't block it. No, there's no defense.
No, because they can't line up closer. They can return it.
And that's why they have to cover. That's why they have to cover the kick as well.
But yeah, it was sensational. I'm watching it with my son, who's a kicker. I've never seen him so fired up watching football games.
It was interesting. To Dan's point, at first, after that play happened, you see Herbert coming out for the Hail Mary. And then they call the timeout. They're like, well, wait a second, no. And the fact that you can't block it makes it even.
The value of elite coaching in the NFL is on display. I was reading a story about it this morning, and one of the Chargers special teams players was saying they practice this. The special teams coach knows the rule, and they're ready for it. And there they were, and they steal the 3 points, and away they go. Last night, let's very quickly, what did last night mean for the AFC?
It's not over yet for some of these teams. Now, like the Cincinnati Bengals' chances to make the playoffs went from 3% to almost 10%. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but why did it such big a jump at this point in the year when they're 2.5 games behind? They play the Broncos next week. If the Cincinnati Bengals win this week against Cleveland, beat Denver next week, then they're a game back with the tiebreaker going into the final week. The Broncos have to play the Chiefs, Bengals play the Steelers. Nothing's easy there, but the Colts, Dolphins, Bengals at 6-8, still alive as a result of last night's game.
Cincinnati, I think, is the one everyone has their eyes on all of that. And let's just circle it back to where it began here before we move on to other matters. I said it when they hired him. Jim Harbaugh will have that team in the Super Bowl in 3 years, and I think he is ahead of schedule. This is a team that won 5 games last year, I believe. Yep. They had to cut like half their team in salary cap. This was supposed to be like the dip year and coming back, and look where Harbaugh has them.
Greedy, if we're sitting here, the four of us, 5 weeks from today, talking about the Chargers in the AFC Championship game this year, don't be shocked, and here's why. You have an athletic quarterback who's making all the plays. They've only turned the ball over 10 times as a team this year, and they're 6th in defensive efficiency. So when you have an athletic quarterback, a good offensive line, and a smart coach, you could go sneak a road victory. Next thing you know, they're sitting there in the championship game.
Yeah, I thought Mentor did a tremendous job. I mean, they couldn't stop the run in the first quarter, first half at all. They gave up 2 touchdowns. They couldn't seem like they could stop them. They made the necessary adjustments and shut the run game down in the second half.
All right, so we'll see. Again, they are limited offensively. This is year one of a program. Yep. Once you get him a couple of weapons on that offense, I'm telling you, Jim is going to have that team. No one is going to want to see them at any point. Injury news out there, including Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, with the world's most resilient ankles. Patrick Mahomes is going to play tomorrow, barring some sort of setback between now and game time. Was able to practice in full this week with an ankle sprain and is going to give it a go tomorrow against Houston, even though the Chiefs have another game on Wednesday. They believe he's healthy enough to play, and they are going to play him. David Montgomery, the Lions running back. The news earlier this week was that it sounded like his knee injury was going to keep him out for the season, but he continued to get opinions on that, and now there is at least some hope that he could recover in time to join the team at some point in the postseason. I doubt we see him over these next 3 regular season games, but especially if they get a bye in the first round, it may be that David Montgomery is able to give them something at some point in the postseason, which would be the first bit of good injury news the Lions have had in quite a while. And the Steelers playing the Ravens tomorrow. They are going to have edge rusher T.J. Watt, who injured his ankle in last week's game. He has been able to practice this week and is no injury designation for tomorrow's game, which means he's good to go. Not the case with wide receiver George Pickens, whose hamstring injury will keep him out for 1 more game at least. He was able to do some side work at practice this week, and the Steelers were encouraged with what they saw. So there's at least some hope he could be back for Wednesday's game against Kansas City.
Yeah, that's the Christmas Day game, but this one obviously is the huge showdown. If the Steelers win it, they clinch the AFC North, and we have worn this number out, Bart Scott, this week. Lamar Jackson in his career against the Steelers, every number on that screen is jarring. Yeah. He's 1-4. He's got 3 more interceptions than he does touchdown passes and 0 rushing touchdowns. Now, in the interest of time, I'm not going to show you this tape that we had. Let's dive directly into what Lamar Jackson has to get done. You tell me, for all the fans getting set to watch this game tomorrow, what is it you want to see from Lamar Jackson that he can finally conquer this dragon, if you will, that have been the Steelers defense and put the Ravens in position to still win that division?
He has to get them what they want. And let's understand in context the first game what really went down. I mean, you got Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers of all time, misses 2 kicks and an extra point. Derrick Henry fumbles. He never fumbles the football. And then, you had an interception as well.
But he's 1-4, Bart. I mean, they've always had his number. Why?
It's how they play him. And Himbo gave me a great stat that they come down and they make sure they blitz him on early downs, anticipating that that's the run. So they get Lamar Jackson in 3rd and long, and then that's when they can come out and they play zone and keep eyes on him so that he can't find those windows, because now he has to.
So what does he do?
He has to put on the cape and be the MVP. He has to take advantage on early downs. I think they have to throw the ball on early downs because that's when he's going to get the man-to-man.
So throw the ball on early downs. I'm sorry. Did I miss a meeting? Did they go get Derrick Henry this offseason for the biggest games of their season?
See, but what they're doing is run blitzing them on early downs, so they're taking away that run the same way they tried to do against Saquon Barkley. You got to throw the ball on early downs to loosen them up, to make them get out of their plan.
Greedy, Lamar Jackson has 6 touchdown passes of 20 yards or more, 4th best in the league. For them to win this game, they have to pass to score and then run to win with Derrick Henry. And to me, Lamar Jackson has to throw it over their head twice for them to win, which I think he can do. I think there's vulnerability in Pittsburgh secondary, so I agree with Bart.
Yeah, you throw the ball in early downs to avoid being predictable and to try and make your third downs as short as possible. This is not a revolutionary concept. You can have Derrick Henry and still lean on that. So, yeah, they have to be more creative. They have to – look, Pittsburgh's in their heads, right? I mean, like, this is right. I mean, that's the big thing. Like, what does Lamar have to do differently? Got to get the Steelers out of his head and realize that he can beat them just like he can beat any other team.
I feel like this is a very important game for Lamar Jackson in the scheme of things. This is a guy who can catapult him. Oh, look, we all know what he's missing. He's missing a championship.
Sure.
You put a championship ring on Lamar Jackson's finger, and all of a sudden we start talking about his place among all-time great quarterbacks. He's only 27 years old, but he's got to scale this. And I'm not saying they can't go on the road and win 3 playoff games, but boy, that's the road less traveled. They need to win this game tomorrow to win the division.
Yeah, I mean, he has to slay the dragon. To me, he's still the front runner, in my opinion, for the MVP. I think he's playing at a high level, but a lot of that's going to come down to can he slay the dragon with the Steelers and can he finish strong?